So this is a shout out to Monster Carrot Cards on TCG Player. I purchased a Saiyan Technique Grade 8 Vegeta, and then I got surprised when I saw these two packs. I was like, maybe they accidentally sent me the wrong order, like maybe they sent me somebody else's order, or maybe they just like to include these in the orders. Like, well, that's cool. Got nothing against that. So I was thinking, like, all right, let me go to TCG Player and see what was going on. Why did I get these packs? And then I realized that there was a piece of paper behind the stack of stuff, and then I read it, obviously, and noticed it said, "Master Kung Fu, please give our TCG story a shout out in your next profile. We are not worthy," and that was pretty badass. The fact that they pointed out in profile, they could have said just a shout out on a video, on my channel, but they said profile specifically, so they're aware of what I do most of the time. And they refer to me as Kung Fu, which I really appreciate, because most people just try to use my real name. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, it's my name. But on the internet, I don't go by my name. I go by Kung Fu. So that's why my deck profile says by Kung Fu. So it's interesting that somebody acknowledged that detail, which I appreciate. So for those who are interested, what comes in these packs, I did open them. I guess I have to open the folder. Windows 10 is different from Windows 7. Oh, now this thing wants to pop up, right? There you go. Oh, okay, so it was there, just it's hiding. Oh, okay. See, I don't like that. I don't like that it's hiding. I couldn't see the little arrows. Like, where? How do I switch the pictures? Alright. Here's what I got. Unfortunately, I don't know if it was either me or not. There's a crease here, so this is no longer mint 10. It probably was me who bent the corner, unfortunately. Or, I don't know. I just know I try to be careful, but I noticed there was a crease right here. So it's like, oh man, it's not mint no more. But I appreciate it. I'm more likely to give it to my friend because he prefers hollows. So he'll probably like this, having a hollow Vegeta. But it's pretty cool. This is a pretty nice card. Like, this is a nice card. It's a negate, negates an attack, and lets you play University 11, 2 costs or less from your hand or drop area. So a good target for this would be a blocker, because it doesn't negate the skill of the 2 drop. So this would be good to bring back a blocker. You could potentially stop 2 attacks. So that's kind of nice. And it's green yellow. So green yellow. So it's a decent card. And just the artwork, just looks badass. Jiren doing what Jiren does, right? So again, shout out to Monster Carrot Cards. Appreciate the love, so I'm going to return it, of course. And this will be attached to a deck profile. This is my Dr. Uiro Defense Loop deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 Dr. Uiro Destruction Beam. 4 Frost Chaotic Burst. 4 Gogeta A Hero's Advent. 4 Gohan Baby's Minion. 4 Uneasy Alliance Goku. 4 Master Roshi Universe 7 United. 4 Kibito Kai's Attendant. 4 Majin the Fire West Pain Kai. 4 Kawasu Manipulative Supremacy. 4 Homicidal Clones. 4 Raditz Giant Force. 4 SS Goten's Absolute Unison. 4 Super Saiyan 4 Goku Protector of the Earth. 1 Dr. Uiro's Lab. And 1 Heroine's Lineage. I just ordered Gogeta's at Hero's Advent and Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam. That's long overdue. Because clearly I have everything else, but it's like I then should have ordered a playset of this for the deck strategy, obviously. Got some new toys here to play around with. I pretty much got everything here except I don't have yet these 2 since I just ordered them. But I will have them by the end of this week, at least close to the next week, so that's one thing. So that way I would be able to have this to play in real life. Really cool concept the really cool idea of this deck is just the idea of not attacking your opponent's leader. The goal is not to win through attacking your opponent, because in some ways that actually benefits your opponent, right? Attacking them. So this is more like a solitaire deck. So obviously we're going to win through the leader's second active main win con. If you have 17 or more cards under your Dr. Uiro's lab, you win. Once you play the leader, you automatically get Dr. Uiro's lab in play. So you automatically will start off with it and have the ability to be able to trigger this win con. Once you have 17 or more cards under this card, the basic math for triggering this win con is being able to play Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam 3 times in the game, right? So you want to, because the first time you play, you'll be able to ramp up to 6 cards from the top of your deck, which is your main area for the effect is take the top 6 cards of your deck and put it under the lab. Then the second copy, you will do the same thing. If you end up in a scenario where you have 6 cards in your drop, you might want to target your drop area in that situation. Just grab the 6 from your drop and put it under the lab. And the idea is to try to do this effect 3 times. Seems simple enough, right? Play this card 3 times and you win. Of course, we have 4 copies in the deck to help us get the opportunity to play 3 copies. But we also have Kibito Kai's Attendant, so we can bounce back our 1 copy of Dr. Uiro back to our hand, so we can reuse it more than once. So that's the goal, right? Is to play it 3 times. So it doesn't have to be 3 different copies. It could be the same copy, just played 3 times, right? So that'd be something we want to do. So that's the main loop. So that's our win con. We try to ramp up to this so we can play it, and then bounce it back to the hand and play it again. Bounce it back to the hand and play it again. So that's basic line of play for Dr. Uiro's lab. And we have, of course, negates and stuff. So we're not going to do much of anything with the leader. We're not going to be swinging with it. We're just waiting until we have 4 or more energy or 3 or less life to untap 2 energy and awaken. On our awaken side, what's nice is his auto when he attacks. You draw a card. It's when he attacks, not when he attacks the leader. When he attacks. So again, we're not attacking our opponent's leader. We are mainly attacking our opponent's battle cards. One, we don't want our opponents to awaken because our opponent's awakened side is going to be their stronger side, so we'd rather keep them on the front side. It benefits it benefits us that way to keep our opponent on the front side, so you don't need to worry about our opponent's going to have to self-awaken themselves. We're not going to help them awaken, right? And this comes in handy, especially since most people I notice are playing OG Broly now, right? The fact that they could use the leader to remove this card from your battle area. No, wait. Sorry. No, I'm thinking of another card. Never mind. I was thinking that I was thinking of another card. What was it? Tragedy Overground. Tragedy Overground is the one that can't be removed by battle card effects, but leader effects and Unisons could remove it. This card actually can't be removed, period, because it just says it right there. This card can't be removed from the battle area by your opponent's card skill. So, yeah, you don't even have to worry about OG Broly. So that's good. But either way, we're not going to awaken Broly anyway. I was thinking of another card. Sorry about that. So the point is, we're going to awaken, attack our opponent's battle cards. We're going to mainly focus on actually battling our opponent's battle cards, defending against their attacks, taking them out through attacks and effects, which is going to have a back and forth battle. And of course, if our opponent's trying to protect their battle cards by comboing, great, because that's just them wasting cards from their hands, because we're definitely going to be using Gawasu to manipulate their draws, so that way it'd be hard for them to have good cards in their hands. So we're doing that element of control, because it's Gawasu, right? It's the new hotness now. So controlling our opponent's draws. not attacking them, so they're not getting anything from their life. We're just focusing on battling their battle cards, so we're going to be doing a good amount of board wipe. We have Uiro's Lab, its active main ability. We pay 2, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 4 costs or less and place it under this. This will also further help you, be able to get to 17 cards, so you can win with this card. Another math thing for this is if you can use this effect 5 times and grab 5 of your opponent's battle cards and put it under here, so that's 5 right there. That's 5 battle cards, right? Then you only need to play Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam, the 6-drop. You only have to play it twice, because playing 2 will give you 12 cards, right? 12 plus the 5 battle cards you already took through Uiro's Lab, that's 17. So that's one thing. But if your opponent's going to, for some reason, try to avoid, if your opponent's only going to use their leader or unisons, or a lot of their battle cards tend to be high cost, so it'd be hard for you to grab with the lab, then you will have to rely on playing playing Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam 3 times in a match in order to get the win con, because your main win condition is going to mainly be the leader effect, which you want it to work, right? You want to make that your win con. Why not, right? It's pointless to play Dr. Uiro if you're not going to use the leader's win con, right? So we're definitely focusing on trying to get the win con. So we're doing a lot of defense. So of course you want to attack opponent's battle cards and KO them, of course, so that way they don't have anything to attack you with other than a leader and unisons, right? But you'll get to draws because you're trying to draw into at least 3 copies, or at least into 1 copy of Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam plus Kabuto Kai. Of course, when you mulligan, you'll want to make sure you grab one of each. Sorry. To get you started, and a Much in the Fire to help you ramp. And you definitely want a turn 1 Gowasu Manipulate Supremacy. Just so good. So good to play in turn 1 and just start manipulating your opponent's draw. Sometimes something I hear from time to time is people complaining that they draw bad. That's part of what led them to losing, and all this other stuff. It's like, well, that's good. That's good. We'll definitely try to manipulate that, right? Get it? Manipulative supremacy. So we'll definitely try to manipulate people's draws. So I've been testing this out, and definitely puts in the work. At least it's annoying. At least it's annoying, because that's just one thing my opponent has to worry about. So I definitely have fun with it. I do recommend the idea, if you want to try something extra, is like Black Mass Sane and a couple other decent 1-drops that have some effects that can annoy your opponent. So that's always a thing. But Gowasu definitely lots of fun. So I was gonna say, this has a active main. Once per turn, choose 1 card in your hand and place it into your drop area. Choose up to 1 keyword skill on one of your opponent's battle cards and negate it for duration of turn. So of course you can use this to erase your opponent's battle cards barrier effect, so that way you can target it with certain card effects. For example, your Frost Chaotic Bursts ability, as well as your Gogeta Hero's Advent ability, because these don't ignore barrier, but if you use the leader's ability, you can at least make one of your opponent's battle cards lose barrier, so that way you can remove them with the effects of Frost and Gogeta Hero's Advent. Let's see. Among other things, there are other cards that have effects that, except for these two do ignore barrier, but this one doesn't ignore barrier, so you can combine it with this -2, use the effect, then use the -2 of this and bounce something back to your opponent's hand. So that's always good. Alright, so there's that. Of course, Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam has Deflect and Blocker, which is nice. You definitely want Deflect on this. If it had barrier as well, that would have been busted, but barrier block, right? But Deflect definitely must have. You play it auto. When you play this card, choose 1. Either take the top 6 cards of your deck and put it under Dr. Uiro's Lab, or take up to 6
cards from your drop area and place it on the Dr. Uiro's lab. The second auto, once per turn, when this card activates its blocker's skill, switch it to active mode so it can block 2 attacks. So pretty nice 25k blocker that can block twice is always good, especially if you combine this along with Rad's Giant Force, which also has the active main of switching back to active mode after it blocks, so you can potentially stop 4 attacks every turn. But of course, you're going to make sure you get rid of most of your opponent's battle cards. Something to keep in mind, especially with Goku, because of the way Uiro's lab works, for example, is that, and as well as Gogeta's Hero's Adamant, is that you want to, when you use the effect, you want to push down. That's the way I, look at it. You're pushing down. You always want to bring to the top of your opponent's deck battle cards that therefore cost a less. Well, mainly you want to do extra cards. You want your opponent grabbing extra cards and stuff like that. You want them to grab stuff that's not that threatening. But if you're, let's say you look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and they're battle cards, then you want the battle cards with the lowest cost to be at the top, the highest cost at the bottom, because you can always use your lab to scoop them up, right? And you want to be able to scoop up your opponent's battle cards with Dr. Uiro's lab, so that way you can fill up your win con, right? And that's where you get your lab control from, right? Just scooping up all your opponent's 4 costs or less. You don't want them to be grabbing a whole bunch of 5, 6, 7 drops, right? Plus, more likely those will be their finishers, win con type stuff. So you want to always push those down. But they're lower cost, weak battle cards. Those are the ones you definitely want them to have. And if they play them, better for you, because that's literally feeding your lab, which is feeding your win condition. Another cool thing is that about this lab, and I've definitely been promoting the idea of Dr. Uiro, especially to Eddie St. Hilaire, and he thinks it's funny, but it's the seriousness of the fact that it's this card is a really good floodgate-ish card. It's a good card because you automatically start off with it, and it's the fact that if you go up against the baby leader deck, right, where all those counter plays, most of them tend to be 4 costs or less, and being able to pay 2 to scoop them up and place them onto this card so your opponent don't have them to swing at you. That way it's okay, I attacked my leader, oh, you negated the attack and you played the battle card, cool, I'll pay 2, grab that card and put it under here, because it's not like pretty much none of those cards have barrier unless they start creating the ones with barrier, but their battle cards tend to not have barrier, so you'll take advantage of that. Other things is in case they put, let's say, you can go up against that as blockers, or the list goes on of how good this field card is. One, it just can't be removed, so it will be there throughout the whole game. Second, with the leader, obviously, it's a win con, so the fact that you can literally for 2 energy scoop up a 4 cost or less battle card and put it under here, you never have to worry about your opponent's board, because you literally can't control the board. So lab control, right? So with Goku controlling opponent's draw, the lab controlling opponent's board, as well as all your attack negate cards and your board wipe cards. These are the board wipes. For example, Frost Catter Burst. Auto, when you play this card, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and bounce them to their owner's hand. Notice that he doesn't have a cost, which is why we're going with him. Hopefully later on, Bandai comes up with a definitely better version, especially a 3-drop version would be nice, of a card that I can play that can do up to 2 battle cards and shove them under my opponent's deck. But for now, this is the best I can do without other effects, because there's 2 Go tanks that are pretty good at what they do. They do more than 2 cards. The thing is that one, you have to burst 5. The other one, your opponent has to negate your attack in order for you to board wipe. It does ignore a barrier, but my opponent has to negate. I'm trying to avoid my opponent's involvement in my ability to do something, right? So I'd rather just play Frost Catter Burst and then just do his effect right now and then, right? I don't want to have to attack and get negated to get a board wipe, or be the scenario where I have to burst 5. I don't want to burst 5. I don't mind taking the top 6 cards of my deck, for example, and put it under my lab, but I do have a problem with just throwing the top 5 cards of my deck to the drop, especially in this deck. You might notice this deck is more than 50 cards, but not 60, but it's more than 50. Let me see, how much is it? 40, 52, 53, 54. So 54 card deck. I was trying to do a 51 card deck, but with the fact that I'm going to be taking a large majority of my deck, especially like 12 to 18 cards off the top of my deck, if I play the Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam 3 times, I'm going to be taking, almost half my deck to put under the lab. So mathematically, it's like, yeah, I might need some more cards just in case, because I'm going to be doing stuff like drawing. There's a lot. I mean, technically, this should have been a 60 card deck, but so far, just playing around with it, it has been working out pretty well. But I did bump up the unisons, so the 12, yes, 12 unisons in this deck. So that's the thing. Taking stuff to consideration. Definitely wanted to, gotta have the lab right, but definitely wanted to tech in the Hero's Lineage, since I have the card. It's a good card. It works pretty well in here, so definitely worth having. And then we got Gogeta's Hero's Advent, which is a 20k blocker, which is really nice. Definitely gotta have that. We gotta keep our defenses up. 20k blocker. And then has the auto, when you play this card, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less and place them at the bottom of our owner's deck in any order. Now, this effect is really good, except it does 3 or less. That's the only thing that sucks. Imagine if this thing said 3 or higher, but then this card would be busted. It'd be expensive. But 3 or less, the funny thing with 3 or less battle cards is that I'd rather scoop them up with the lab, because for 4 energy, just to drop this thing, I could use the lab to scoop up 2 3-drops. You know what I mean? Which I'd rather do. Which is why you have the option, right? One or the other. But you might be in a scenario where it's like your opponent's board is too much of a problem that maybe you might want to go this route. So at least you can clear your opponent's board enough-ish, right? Enough to be able to get yourself an extra turn. There, of course, are other options. There is this. You could obviously play this for its auto, and then it's -2. We'll get to that later. But it was the fact that it's a nice, another nice option. I know it's mathematically, I tend to not draw enough. Like, I draw a good amount of negate, like I could stop attacks, but to clear my opponent's board tends to be a little tough unless they're 4 costs or less. So I had to throw this in here for the fact that it's a blocker, as well as it can clear the board. I originally had, what is it called? Vegeta Ready Rumble. I originally had Vegeta Ready Rumble, but not a bad card. It's just the fact that, like, cost-wise, it's like, if I'm going to pay 4, I'd rather pay 4 to do something on my turn than to pay 4 to try to do something on my opponent's turn. And on my opponent's turn, I'd rather use the 4 energy to play multiple stuff, like, for example, 1 Goku the baby's minion and 1 Roshi. I'd rather use 4 energy to play these 2 cards on my opponent's turn, which will greatly defend me better, right? Or play 2 uneasy Goku, or play a Roshi, then play a Goku to add back the Roshi to the hand, right? Then play the Roshi again, right? So for 4 energy with 2 battle cards, I can negate 4 attacks. I'd rather use my 4 energy that way, so that's why I decided to go with something else. It's like, okay, I need something else that can help me get rid of battle cards. My opponent's side of the field, of course, Frost being the current go-to one until we get a better one. But Gogeta was, second best for what he does. The fact that he is a blocker, on top of the fact that he could help me get rid of a lot of cards, which is really nice. We do have Gotenks Unison, which definitely takes care of the. He definitely does what I wish I could have a 4-drop battle card do, which is the minus 3 ability, which is choose up to two of my opponent's battle cards, ignore and bury, and place on my opponent's bottom deck. That's the effect that I wish I have more of. I have already 4 of him in the deck, so he's definitely going to help me in that regards. But it would have been nice if Frost also did the same thing, right? That would have been busted. Have 8 cards in the deck that could do the same thing. So technically, I have 12 cards if you count those 2 battle cards in this unison as ways of clearing my opponent board. So I have a couple board wipes, and you can throw in Goku Protector Earth as another board wipe. So we have a decent amount, not perfect, but a good amount. Gohan's Baby's Minion, counterattack. Play this card. Servant should be a 25k body, so it definitely should be able to help you take down some battle cards through attacks. So definitely take advantage of it being a 25k. And of course, when the card's played, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they choose 1 card from the hand, put it at the bottom of the deck. And of course, we're going to, use that, and then you use Kabito Kai, bounce it back to your hand, or use Uneasy Goku to bounce it back to hand, because Goku does a 3 cost or less battle card. So we definitely want to take advantage of that. Goku, of course, again attack, play this card, and choose a battle card with 3 costs or less and return to the owner's hand. So that's that. Roshi, counterattack, negate attack, play this card for 1 energy. Kibito Sky, choose 1 of your battle cards, return to your hand, and then you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, 3 costs or less, and bounce it to their hand. Of course, you don't want to do that because she'd rather use the lab to steal your opponent's battle, 3 costs or less battle cards, or 4 costs or less battle cards. But anything higher than that, you definitely want to get rid of, or at least take off the board for a while through effects like, Frost Chaotic Burst or Gotenks Absolute Unison, which is definitely the best way to get rid of any big battle cards. And you mainly want to force your opponent down to smaller battle cards and then take advantage of the smaller battle cards so you can, play out your win con. Of course, mentioned earlier, Kabito Kai is to help us also not only loop our battle card negates, is also to help us loop our Dr. Uiro for our win con. Identify Whispering Kai, barrier, permanent. You can use this card in your battle area to pay the energy cost of cards. So you can use it to obviously help you ramp up into your Dr. Uiro Destruction Beam. So you don't have to wait until turn 6 to play him. You can play him as soon as turn 5. So that's all thing. What else I'm thinking? Actually, you can actually play him as soon as turn 4. I forgot. Because there's a little play I realized not too long ago. Alright, so turn 2 you play her, right? Turn 3 you play an energy, right? And keep that energy up because you're more likely going to use it for baby's minion, right? Basic stuff. Or use it for Goku, Easy Alliance, and Roshi. So you drop Roshi first, then Uneasy Goku so you can bounce Roshi back to your hand so you can save them for later. And that way on turn 4, when you play your 4th energy, right? Yeah, your 4th energy, and you should still have her in play. So that's the total 5 right there. What you do is you'll tap 2 energy to play a 2nd copy of her. So now you have 2 of her in play. Then, since you have 4 physical energy in your energy area, you can awaken with your leader. So you awaken by untapping 2 energy. So then you'll be at 4 energy plus 2 Margin of Fire. That's 6. So as soon as turn 6 is, not 6, turn 4, you can play 1 of him. And then after that, it's just a matter the fact that he's a blocker, he can block twice. Of course, he can help you protect your Margin of Fire so it can still be in play. And then after that, you'll try to play another copy, which is great because it doesn't have unique. You can have more than 1 copy. So having 2 on the field, blocking twice each, that's 4 attacks you can stop every turn, is awesome. Plus, you already would ramp up 12 cards under your lab in that situation, and then you just go from there. And all you do is Kabito Kai to bounce 1 back to hand, play that 1. Which mathematically is a total of 8 energy. You'll just need 2 for Kabito Kai, right? to play, and then 6 to play the Hero's Lab. So once you get to 8 energy, which could be just 6 actual energy and 2 Much in the Fires, and use the 2 Much in the Fires to play Kabuto Kai. Use Kabuto Kai, bounce back one of your Dr. Uiro Lab Destruction Beams in hand, then pay 6 energy to drop Dr. Uiro Destruction Beam and get your last 12, 6 cards you need to get, which will be 18 cards in that scenario, and all you need is 17 or more in order to trigger your leader's second active main, which is your win card, which is when you have 17 or more cards under your lab, you'll win the game. So there's that. Guaso already mentioned how we're going to use it to manipulate our opponent's draw, so that way it makes it easier for us to defend if our opponent's not getting anything they can use against us, right? So we're already controlling the game that way. We're not attacking opponent's leader, so we're not letting them get anything to their hand from their life. We're not letting them awaken, so they're not getting much from their leader's awaken side as well as their awaken effect, because we're not fighting their leader, but we will definitely fight their battle cards. Then we got homicidal clones, free negate, right? The leader is mono green, so we have this. Negate attack, play it meta token with 5k power, 0 cost, 5k combo power, which is really useful. So this is actually important. And of course it has blockers, so you can use the token to block just for that turn. After that, it's just a 0 cost 5k combo, which can be important, can matter. So if your opponent doesn't attack that turn, obviously you'll lose blocker, but at least you're still 5k combo power. So that can matter. Another usefulness is that, let's say your opponent has a battle card that, or a card in general that just says you can't block their attack with a blocker skill, then you can at least combo the token, right? At least combo the token and try to stop the attack that way at least. So that's what's nice about this card, options. So there's that. So that's how you'll use that. And of course, I forgot to mention, you have 5 or less life. You can take a card from your life, add it to your hand in order to play this. So essentially replacing it with a card from your life to play it. So you can play it for free. Again, attack, get a token, which has blockers, so you could stop another attack just, for free. And of course, this is not a once per turn, so you can do this. If you have multiple copies, you can play multiple copies in a turn by just taking life. This can help you self-awaken, because if you're at 4 life, you can't awaken when you have 4 or more energy, or you're at 3 or less life. So if you're at 4 life, for example, you can use this to, take a life, again attack, make a blocker, which is good because you want the blocker to stop your opponent from attack you even more, and then you can awaken and have 2 energies to use. But I'd rather keep the awaken effect for the turn 4 play I was talking about, where you can use 2 Much in the Fires to help you drop a Dr. Uiro's Destruction Beam as soon as turn 4. The sooner the better. So there's that. Then we got Raditz Giant Force. Blocker, auto, once per turn. When you activate the blocker skill, this card switch attack mode so that you can block with it twice. Plus 0 ability, active main, draw 1 card, and at the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode. So you can use this to attack a battle card, right? To KO a battle card. And then use this ability to draw a card and switch it back to active mode so that you can use it to block 2 attacks on your opponent's turn, which is always good. Gotta keep your defenses up. And then the -2 ability, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, return it to the owner's hand. Then at the end of your turn, switch one of your blue energy to active mode, which definitely can come in handy when you want to play Roshi. And then we have Go Tank Steps to Unison, Dual Attack, Blocker. This definitely can help you board wipe because it's a 20k you can attack with twice. You can take down 2 battle cards with that, or at least apply pressure by attacking the opponent's battle cards more than once. So that way they're giving up cards from their hands, trying to protect their battle cards. if they are. And of course, we'll go also, we're making sure their draws aren't going to be good and we're not attacking their leader. So they're not gaining anything from their life. So it's definitely going to be bad for your opponent. They're not going to be happy. But that's okay. And then you can use the -3 ability to choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignore barrier, and place them at the bottom of their deck. So this is for any big problematic cards. You always have to take some into account, like Dark Volley, for example. They tend to be 6 drops, right? So you definitely need effects that can affect, 6 drops, right? Can't be 4 or less all the time. So gotta keep that in mind. So this ignores barrier, which is great. Helps against Invoker and other decks of that nature. So this is a great effect to have. Of course, the fact that this can get rid of 2 battle cards and then you can attack 2 other battle cards with this unison can help you get rid of up to 4 battle cards, which is nice. The fact that it can attack twice, you can obviously attack your opponent's unison twice with it, so that way you can knock off 2 markers off your opponent's unison. Since it is a 20k, that is relatively good against a lot of battle cards. I mean, a lot of unisons that are 20 or 15k. So definitely take advantage of that. And has a -2 ability, so you can draw 2 cards. Of course, you're trying to get to your, multiple Dr. Uiros. Definitely try to keep your hands nice and thick because you want to be able to loop and combo, loop and negate. Obviously, we are doing very little comboing. It's all about negating attacks, not out comboing them. So keep that in mind. Try not to combo any important things. In general, try not to combo unless you really have to. But you should be negating attacks more so than comboing, out comboing. And then we got Goku, of course. Auto, when you play this card during your opponent's next turn, this card can't attack. No, they can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one other battle card with energy cost 2 or more and place at the bottom of the deck. And then he has the -2 ability, which we combo with this effect. Choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and return to their owner's hand. So that's really useful. Resetting your opponent's board. And then he does have -1 ability where you draw 2 cards and then take a card from your hand, put it at the bottom of your deck. But we mainly use the -2 ability, and because he's a 5-drop, we tend to get that use that ability twice back to back, which is really useful. Especially if you play this to set it up, so that way the next turn you can drop your Uiro's lab, and then of course the lab being able to double block, and then the following turn after that, you can trigger the your unison's ability to further bounce your opponent's board back to the hand, just to keep further control. And if you can keep playing one of these back to back every turn, you can definitely stall long enough to get 3 of these bad boys out in a game in order to win. And then of course we have the lab, which has the permanent that this card can't move from your battle area by your opponent's skills. Also, your battle cards can't be switched to rest mode by your opponent's card skills, and you can only use blue or green cards skills to place cards under this card. So obviously we're only using 1 blue skill, which is our Uiro Beam. The whole can't be switched to rest mode is really useful, especially against MicroRecords. So that's another reason to play this. Lab is that factor that you don't have to worry about people tapping down your battle cards, which is awesome. So that already makes certain counterplays useless. It definitely makes certain battle cards effects useless. And then there's the pay 2 to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 4 cards or less, and place on this card, which definitely helps you just constantly every turn for 2 energy remove something. Of course, you can do this effect more than once. Since it's not once per turn, you can pay 4 and get rid of 2 cards, pay 6 and get rid of 3 cards. So over time, it can become a really good board wipe. So there's that. So many good things going for this deck. And then we have Hero's Lineage, of course. Paying 1 to play, active battle ability. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards. Well, when your opponent has 3 or more energy, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 7 cards or less, and take control of it. So you can use this, well, you mainly will use this, especially in this deck, defensively. You will use it to take something to have it on your side of the field. Especially if it's something big and strong, you can use it to take advantage of your opponent. So it's always good to have something strong. And again, this does 7 or less, which is decent, right? Which means it can do stuff like 6 drops, like Dark Broly and them. That's good to keep in mind. And let's see. And that's pretty much it. That's the end of the video.